we're today at Tilburg University with international representative and recruiter Maartje de Wit. Thank you very much for welcoming us.
Yes, of course.
It's really nice to be here. Really beautiful, huge campus. Very cozy atmosphere, and I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, of course.
So I'll ask you a couple of questions about Tilburg University, about admissions, and I am sure it will be very informative for our prospective students, because I know that, of course, Tilburg welcomes international students.
Yes, that's correct.
And so what are the most important criteria actually Tilburg looks at when evaluating international students' applications, especially for bachelor's programs?
Yeah, so for bachelor students, we always look at 3 different aspects, which is the diploma requirement, mathematics proficiency, and English proficiency. For instance, the IB diploma or A levels, they are widely accepted. National diplomas from Europe mainly as well. From national diplomas outside of Europe, it's usually more evaluated case by case. And then depending on the quantitative quantitative character of the course, there might be mathematics requirements involved as well, because you can imagine that for a business program or a data science program, you do need sufficient understanding or skills within mathematics. And of course, because you'll study in English, you will also need to be proficient enough in English to be able to do your studies here.
Yes. So most of the programs are entirely in English.
So we have 14 bachelor programs which are fully taught in English.
That's a lot.
We do have several more which are in Dutch, but these 14 programs, you don't need to worry about the Dutch language.
Yes.
It's really, in that sense, the English proficiency that counts. So all
Yes.
the papers, lectures, group assignments.
Yes. So for the English test, you would require, of course, a separate certificate like IELTS, TOEFL, any internationally recognized certificate.
Yes, and also the Cambridge C1,
certificate.
C2. Yeah.
And for mathematics, it's not a separate certification, but you look at diploma at grade for
Correct, yeah.
Secondary school.
Yes, so indeed, for instance, for IB students, it could be that we require certain higher level of the mathematics course. But for some national diplomas, it could even be taking the course until the end of your school exams. So there is some flexibility. There is actually an opportunity to do an external test if you appear just to not have the right level of math in high school. Then with the OMPT test, you can still prove your proficiency. We have a webpage for each individual requirement. If you Google the diploma English mathematics requirement, you'll find it.
This video.
Yes, and we also have an eligibility tool, which is sort of like a chatbot. It's not for all diplomas yet, but you will, with most European and with international diplomas, you'll be able to just click the programs that you're interested in and also the type of math, for instance, you have, and you will already get an idea of your eligibility.
Yeah. So Maartje, I know that in the Netherlands the admission system is mainly non-selective, so it is really affordable and accessible, mainly accessible for international students. But Tilburg is a research university, it's quite popular, and I know there are also some selective programs, right? Can you tell us about those selective programs? Which ones are they, and what is the difference? What are the admissions requirements for these programs?
Yes, so we have sort of 2 types of selective programs. The most famous one, I would say, is the numerus fixus program in psychology. This is really because we have so many applications, both from the Netherlands and from abroad, that we really have a fixed number of students that are allowed to get into the program. So here we really have, of course, the first eligibility check is similar, like I mentioned before, but then we will also look at the overall grade, and together with a selection test, students will actually be ranked based on their performance, and that will result in students being directly accepted into the program or being waitlisted and having to wait until, with the chance that someone else releases a spot.
Okay.
There is motivation letters involved, but these are only used if two students have the exact same ranking based on their education grades and also based on the selection results.
All right. So it's not like in the UK where motivational statements and portfolio and extracurricular activities really decide sometimes.
No.
It's mainly still about diploma and grades.
Yes, indeed. For the psychology program, this is definitely the case. What's good to know is that for all of our programs, we have a matching procedure, which will look more into motivation, extracurriculars. But for majority of the program, this is non-binding. So it's really to advise you, hey, we think this is a great fit for you, or perhaps you should look into this other program. But there are two programs which have a binding matching procedure, which is for our liberal arts and sciences program and our theology program. So there, the motivation, writing an essay, they do count more.
Okay.
So there it's really about the motivation of the student.
How do you support students who may not have a science-heavy background but still are very motivated and passionate about studying psychology?
Yeah, what's good to know, I think you already mentioned the accessibility of education in the Netherlands. And actually for most of our programs, we don't really expect students to already have a background in psychology or sciences, for instance. Because, for instance, Dutch high school students, they cannot even choose an elective course in psychology or in research in high school. So really, through the first year of your course, you will be introduced into, for instance, research with a course that's introduction into research methods. You will get statistics courses. And there are some other introductory courses that really help you. Also some academic skills courses to help you read papers, write articles. So these courses are really designed to help students build that foundation. Yes. So we don't expect students, of course it's great if students have it because it will be easier for them to succeed in their first year.
This is not a must.
But it's not a must, and you will be able to say you have some scientific background after your first year. Yeah. So that's great.
Yeah, makes sense. And what about business and social sciences? What makes your approach in this field unique compared to other Dutch universities?
Yeah, I would say that Tilburg, you already mentioned a bit about our character, but we really have a lot of focus on societal impact. So we really look at societal issues in our research and in our education, but we also have some character building courses in each of our programs. So no matter whether you do a social and behavioral sciences course or a business course, I actually studied international business administration myself, and I had 2 courses in ethics within business, so to really sort of develop your moral compass and to really think a bit broader than just the core subjects of a discipline. You also look at how you can use those courses to make an impact. And there's also, for instance, some projects where you can use your skills to support a local organization or initiative.
Yes. And I think in general it's also a character of a research university to go really deep into subject and to build these transferable skills, right?
Yes, correct.
What about law? I know that the law programs in English are relatively rare in the Netherlands and you offer them, which is great. And what opportunities do international students have at Tilburg, and what career paths do they follow?
Yeah, so we have one English taught LLB program, but I believe 7 or 6 LLM program and a public governance program, all taught in English at our law school, which means that the combination of an LLB and an LLM in most countries offers students the opportunity to practice law in court, for instance. But this, of course, always depends on the system and the bar association's requirements in a specific country. So for instance, in the Netherlands, even with English taught programs, you would be able to practice law, but you need to take a few additional courses from the Dutch course. We actually also have students who want to practice law in the US, and they can do so by studying in our university and use their mobility window to take elective courses in the US, and that already makes them more eligible to take the bar exam.
It's like exchange.
Yes, indeed. So this is, of course, a very popular career path that law students want to take, but we also see a lot of students who want to go more into the corporate side of the legal studies. So, for instance, as a legal consultant or advisor in a big multinational company. We also have some interesting master's programs with, for instance, law and technology, which you can imagine is very popular right now, to really build the lawyers of the future, sort of to say. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities.
Let's talk about the campus and the house in a bit. I mean, I've been going through this campus. It's huge and it's so beautiful. When you walk through, it really like motivates you to study. You know, you want to grab a coffee and sit in the lecture room. I know that Tilburg is known for a strong student-centered approach. Can you share some examples of how teaching and campus is designed around the needs of students, especially for international students?
Yeah, I think I can indeed divide the two more in the teaching and facilities and also in the community part. So within the teaching, we are in the Netherlands considered a small-scale university with 20,000 students, which means that you are less of a number here. Of course, we do have big lectures with a professor where it will maybe be more than 200 other students talking to you, but almost every course has also a tutorial, sort of a small-scale seminar where students will be educated in smaller groups. Here they can interact more with their professors or assistants. They can do group assignments together, ask for advice, for instance, with mathematics homework. So this is really from the teaching part. And we also have a lot of facilities in terms of student well-being, student career services.
Yeah, I've seen many, organizations when I was walking to this building. It's really great.
We have a lot of greenery with the picnic benches. They even have power plugs outside. So we have many students, once the sun is out, that they will study outside, hang outside together, outside of classes. So we even have sort of a small park in the back and a forest next doors, which really makes Tilburg University's campus also a place to build that community outside of class. So that's amazing.
True. Can you tell us about the city of Tilburg itself? I mean, many international students might not even heard about it because it's not a top destination for students. When students or tourists come to the Netherlands, they go to Amsterdam, Rotterdam, but like Tilburg is also quite unique. What kind of lifestyle should they expect?
Yeah, so Tilburg is a real student city because we also have some applied sciences universities here. 1 out of 5 citizens is a student, so that means that there's a lot of activities organized by and for a student. I would say it has a bit of a more entrepreneurial and also industrial character as the city itself, so not maybe the famous scenes that you expect from Amsterdam, for instance, but there's a lot of combination actually both between more urban, artsy scene, these kind of things. There's a lot of music festivals organized within this area, but also many parks, the forest, which I mentioned before. So that is very nice. And what's always good to know, if you haven't visited the Netherlands before, it's so small that because of our location, within 1.5 hours you are in Amsterdam, but also in Brussels, for instance, because we're located in the south of the country, and we have our own train station.
That's a good point.
it's very easy to navigate through the Netherlands and to a few neighboring countries as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. What about accommodation and housing? Because it's also quite a problem to find in the Netherlands. I know that residential campuses are not so frequent. And what about the city of Tilburg and Tilburg University? How can students find accommodation?
Yeah, so indeed you mentioned already we don't offer on-campus accommodation. We do have reserved accommodation for international students for their first year, but this is not guaranteed because for now we always have more students coming in than that we have housing available. We are building on new projects, but this will take some time.
And I think the price in Tilburg is relatively more affordable than, let's say, Amsterdam or Leiden even.
Yeah, of course there is a difference between the types of housing. So the famous Dutch option is always a student house where you also share some facilities. These are always cheaper than, for instance, a studio or apartment, of course, because you pay mostly of a central location and the facilities that you have for yourself. So those can be a bit more expensive, but I would say that usually for a student house you have maybe 500 to 700 euros per month, and for a studio to one bedroom apartment more around 1,000 or a bit up.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, makes sense. So what does the admission process for international students look like? Like, what are the steps they should take if they want to start their application, let's say, for academic year 2026? Or even you also have a spring intake? Is it still possible to?
For bachelor students we do not have. For masters we have usually both intakes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with many Dutch research universities we follow a similar procedure. So for us on October 1st the applications open. Most students will, or not most, all students will first need to register their courses in StudyLink, the national application platform. Then they receive their logins to our university platform, and this is where students really upload their documents. So it usually ranges from 4 to 8 weeks when you receive the outcome of your application, so the admissions outcome. And then you have several months to complete your sort of admission and transform it from conditional to unconditional. And that would usually be August 1st, I believe, that you have to hand in all those official documents. Of course, if students have the opportunity, we always advise them to visit our campus to really get a feel of how it's like, maybe talk to a random student they meet. But there are also some ways to interact with students online. We work with Unibuddy, maybe you know it, where all of our international programs have a sort of student ambassador with whom they can chat, so to really have a feel of what it's like to be an international student at Tilburg University.
Is it common for students to contact admissions directly? Is it okay?
Most of the times before applying, students contact us, the international team. So we have, for instance, our questions we also have webinars, these kind of moments or sort of online meetups where students can ask their questions. And although we cannot guarantee any admission or eligibility, proof of eligibility, we will always be able to help them and guide them.
And for visas, is it something also you deal with and you can help or mediate?
That is actually done by a separate team, the immigration team in our international office. So, of course, if students have multiple questions and one of them is immigration, they often come to us first, and then we will help them either by us contacting the immigration team or by forwarding their requests to them.
A good background, but weak English?
No.
Non-related background in terms of subject, but really strong motivation, as we discussed about psychology, for example?
Most likely, yes.
Probably. A bit low grades, but strong English test.
Ooh.
Is there a chance?
As long as it's sufficient, so you need to, of course, pass the minimum requirements.
There's a minimum grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have high grades, but no extracurricular activities, not a strong portfolio.
Except for liberal arts and theology, yes.
I have many extracurricular activities in my CV, but my diploma is not recognized in the Netherlands.
No. Not directly.
Yes. Okay. I think that's very interesting to know. Thank you again very much. Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks.